Well, hello everyone. Sarah, the Real Simple Mama here with 3 hot birds. Hey girls. Now they have ice bottles before anybody starts calling, animal services on my poor abused chickens. They've got ice, they're okay, they're just panting. But I wanted to focus in on my sign here because dun dun dun, today's video is going to seem a little bit morbid and dark and just kind of like, oh, compared to the content that I normally do. And I'm going to get right into it. So today we're going to talk about predators and liability. Now I have to sort of apologize and do a disclaimer here at the beginning because we have not had any experience with predators as far as actual, attacks or attempted attacks or anything like that. Likewise, we have not had any problems with our neighbors or any of like the neighborhood predators as far as neighborhood kids or neighborhood dogs or anything like that. So this is coming from research, experience, me doing hours and hours and hours over the last year of reading and talking to people in the area. And so we're going to talk about 2 things. We're going to talk about natural predators, which is going to be like birds, foxes, raccoons, bobcats, snakes, all that kinds of stuff, and all of my suggestions for how to be informed and how to prevent against an attack or what to do in case there is one. And then hopefully in this same video, I'm going to talk fast because I got a lot of content, but in the same video we'll talk about liability. What you can do to just keep things cool with the neighbors. And, if something were to happen that is caused by a neighbor or by a neighbor's property, like their dog, what you can do about that, what your rights would potentially be. So, overall, and I'm just kind of I'm walking around the coop here, seeing what my girls do. They're following me. So the first thing you want to do in either case, and I'll break this down in a minute, but you can tell I'm teacher-minded because everything is very methodical and categorical and all that stuff. I don't think that's even a word, but moving on. So the first thing you want to do is just do research and just look up things as much as you can. And you can do that even before you have chickens. And the next thing you're going to do is be proactive, take actual steps on predator proofing as much as you can before there is an attack. And then, of course, the third step is if there ever is an attack, what do you do in that case? So I'm going to try to cram as much information as I can into this video. Again, hopefully this is something you're watching. You've never had any predators, any threats, any loss of life as far as your chickens or your eggs or your chicks. Let's talk natural predators first because that to me is the less ominous of the 2. Natural predators, I'm going to break that down into 2 categories. The first category is flying predators, animals that will come after your birds from above. And then the second one is the climbing, crawling, digging, usually 4-legged predators. So So getting into that, your first step is, and you can do step 1 before you even have birds. If you're thinking about getting chickens, if they're not ordered yet, or maybe they're still in the brooder, right? They're not outside. You want to look about what kind of natural predators are in your area. Now, you can get this information lots of different ways. You can just kind of Google. Here in the United States, we are broken up as far as for gardening and landscaping. We're broken up into zones. Like we're in zone 8. So you could Google, animal predators in zone 8. You can call your parks and rec. You can look for local Facebook groups. You can, call animal control. There are lots of different things that you can do to try to get an idea of, okay, what am I preventing against? In our area in South Texas, now I'm in a neighborhood, a fenced neighborhood, so we don't see a lot of big predators, but in the area, as far as in the San Antonio Metroplex, people with property out here have reported everything from coyotes to different kinds of foxes to wild boars, raccoons, bobcats, all different kinds of snakes. We have hawks, owls, all different kinds of stuff. So the first step would be, look at these birds. The first step would be just kind of getting an idea of what is around. And just looking and understanding just a basic, okay, this is for, my part of the country or wherever I live. This is the kind of stuff that would be around that might want to come snag my chicken, right? The next thing you want to do, step 2, is you want to be proactive and before there are any predator attacks, and again, ideally before you even bring your birds outside, right? Before they are matured enough to be living out here while they're still in the brooder. That's why I recommend people start researching coops and stuff like way before they need it. We had our coop and everything set up probably a month before our chickens lived outside full time, so they got to kind of move in gradually. It was like, they were coming out with us and we were the realtors, but we got to do all this predator proofing and kind of just watch before they even were living here. So for you to kind of be proactive and start thinking about what predator proofing you need to do, you need to be the predator, get in the mind and the mindset and the eyes of the predator. So let's talk flying predators because that's pretty straightforward. Now, what you need to realize with flying predators, and around here we have like a red-shouldered hawk. There's one that actually lives in that tree over there. I hear him sometimes and I yell profanities at him to stay away from my birds. So what you want to think about is most flying predators, what they're going to do, and I apologize, you're seeing my stupid finger in the shot again, but they will swoop down and try to grab something, whoop, and then fly back up, right? They're not going to fly down to the ground and then walk over to their prey. They have to try to swoop at it. So the easiest thing for you to do, well, I say easy, the most direct solution would be for you to put a roof on your chicken run. By the way, if you want the article about the chicken run build, if you've seen my other videos about the supplies we used and how we measured this out and how we built this chicken run, the article will be on Real Simple Mama. It's publishing on Thursday, May 24. And it has all the supplies, all the dimensions, step-by-steps, lots of photos. So if you want that, just go to realsimplemama.com and search for chicken run and you'll find it. Anyway, so the most direct solution to keep flying predators out is, well, don't let them fly into the run. Now, and I'm going to credit Dean with this because Dean had a really good point. Hi, Dean. If you are going to put a roof on, there's a couple of things you need to think about. And again, I apologize. This is a ton of information. I'm yelling at you really quickly with all of these things. But hopefully I'm giving you every possible option you could possibly want, and you can pick and choose what works for you and your birds. But what we're talking about here is essentially roofing this entire thing, putting a roof on anywhere my chickens are. And of course your options are you could do a solid roof, or you could just do you know, something that's basically utility wire like this. Now in our situation we chose to not do that because we only have 3 birds. I think the flying predators in our area, like red shoulder hawks, they're not red tails, they're red shoulders and they're smaller. I don't think they could even carry off one of my birds if they even tried. So I'm not worried about the threat of flying predators, and also it was going to be a big expensive pain in the ass for us to try to cover this just because of how we built this. You know, this is 14 feet across, so I would have, you know, and I don't really want to do like a beam in the middle of this, so I would have to find 14, you know, something that I could cut and go all the way across, somehow mount it on that fence and then put it here, you know, and it has to, I guess, hold weight in case other birds land on it. And we were just like, no. So we decided to not do that. But what Dean brought up was, well, if you do a solid roof, then it's going to be a lot more expensive as far as supplies. Your birds will be completely shaded. You don't have to worry about rain getting down to them, but it's going to be a bigger pain to build and it's going to be more expensive. If you do a wire roof, then it's cheaper, but the rain and the snow will still get through, and you know, then you have other birds landing on it and stuff. So again, just something to think about. Flying predators are pretty straightforward because the other thing you've got is you can hang shiny things. And that I honestly don't understand if the theory behind that is that it confuses flying predators or if it scares them. But whether you've got old DVDs, old CDs, if you're a kid of the 90s and you've got like 500 AOL discs like lying around, just tie them up with fishing wire and put them at different lengths and they'll just spin and reflect the light. Or you could go to like Hobby Lobby or a craft place and get, you know, silver ribbon or holographic looking ribbon or whatever and just hang that up. The problem with that, and the reason why we didn't do that, again, I don't feel like we have a flying predator problem in this area, but also if you do the shiny deterrent, if you will, that will not only scare away flying predators, it'll scare away any other neighborhood birds. So for us, where we've got sort of a naturalist approach, we've got all different kinds of bird feeders, bird houses, hummer feeders. We planted like hummingbird friendly plants and stuff. It's like, well, we're going to scare everything away. So we chose to not do that. So, but that's, I mean, that's pretty straightforward. Flying predators is the easy part of this video, which is why I knocked it out first. Okay, crawling, climbing, slithering, digging predators. To be proactive, you need to have something under the coop. Okay, the 2 ways they're going to get in is they're going to dig under or they're going to try to open the doors. Okay, so now I will say with this coop, the Innovation Pet Coop, and you've seen all my other content on this coop, we're really happy with it. We've had it for over a year now. What we did, and I'm going to be real brief because this is covered in other content, but we had just chicken wire, but you staple it to the coop and then you hook it to the ground, and it comes out a good at least 6 inches all the way around. So if an animal's trying to dig, they can't get here, and no predator's going to figure out they have to start digging back here. So they're protected all the way around. You want to make sure at night you close all of the windows, yes, even in the summer, because any coop kit is going to come with ventilation up top. There'll be different zones throughout where air can still circulate around the top. Close all of these at night so snakes can't get through. raccoon paws. Some predators like raccoons, they are intelligent and they are persistent, and they will come back every night until they figure out a way to get in. So you need to be really careful. And if they can't pull your bird out, then they'll pop a leg off or something, and it gets, I told you this video was going to be kind of dark. You want to make sure you have predator-proof locks on things like your nesting boxes, not just a simple click lock. This one it's called a predator lock because it's 2 steps. They haven't, hopefully the raccoons aren't like hanging out watching this, but you have to slide it across and then you have to rotate it 90 degrees like that, whoop, for it to slip off like that. So it's a 2-step lock, and then I flatten it down like that. So definitely you want to be, I mean, it's almost kind of like baby proofing, right? And then it's like crawl around on the ground and think about, if I was a fox, is there any way that I could get in once my birds are locked up at night? The other things you can do, obviously you can have security lights like landscaping lights on your property. I personally don't advocate putting lights inside the coop at night. It screws up your chicken's natural laying cycle. That's what they do at, like, you know, chicken factories and chicken farms and stuff like that. I want to leave my girls in as much of a natural state as possible. I don't like trying to like mess with their bodies. And so we don't put a light on in there. If you want to and you have the money, or of course in the case of an attack, something you can do just to kind of get some information is get a wildlife camera. They are, you know, weatherproof, and they sit outside, and you just mount it to where you can see, and that way if a predator does get in, and I'm sorry if you lose one of your birds, but then at least you can figure out how they did it and you can prevent that. And now Dottie's going to complain because that's what she does. Now let's talk unnatural predators. Again, the best thing to do would be to research in the area. You know, step one, again, ideally before you even get birds, is look around at the laws, the bylaws, for not only for your county, but if you are in an HOA, which is a homeowners association. That is an optional, like, paid thing that some neighborhoods, some communities have, and HOAs can make their own rules that you have to follow. You ideally should even do that before you buy the house. We have an optional HOA here, which is like, why would I choose to send you money if I don't have to? But our HOA does not have any jurisdiction, so that was not a factor. We have a city law that now says we can have 3 birds, so make sure the law is on your side first. The next things to do to be proactive, I have 2 things to recommend. Just like I was kind of patrolling my coop here and my run, I would suggest you do the same and make a video. Kind of like with home insurance. Like, okay, in case we ever get robbed or there's ever a flood, here's a video of all of the stuff that we own and the approximate value. So it's sort of like video proof. Essentially what I'm telling you to do is CYA, which is what we used to say in the teacher world. That means cover your ass. Just to have hard, cold evidence of, look, we were doing all of these things to try to keep our chickens in and to try to keep predators out, and, you know, your kid came in here anyway, or your dog came in here anyway. Anything you can have to say, look, we've done at least the minimum of 10 by 10, we have a place for them to sleep, I have only 3 birds. That's all the stuff that's required by law in my city. So being proactive, that's the first thing, right? Is to take a video of everything, just have stock of all the predator proofing, the security that you did, all of that stuff. The other thing is, whether you know your neighbors or not, if you're planning on getting chickens, I would recommend you go talk to them. Just knock on the door and say, hey, this is going to happen. Sorry, you can't really do anything about it because it's within my rights living in this neighborhood. Like, I went to go tell one of my neighbors, hey, we've got chickens. Yes, we're allowed to have chickens, so you can't do anything about it. But here's some free eggs. So, you know, to try to keep that relationship of, hey, if you guys have any complaints about what we're doing or whatever, if you want to learn more, like, please come talk to me first. Don't just call the cops or something crazy like that. If something happens, you need to be very aware of what the law is as far as your neighbor having to compensate you for your birds. And I hate having to talk about this, and again, I don't have personal experience, this is me reading online, but you basically calculate how much the bird cost when they were a chick, plus the cost of feed to keep them alive, how much they would be valued at now. An adult hen is worth a minimum of $10, depending on the breed and the age. It could be closer to 20 or 50. And then again, if you've got the video proof that's like, look, this is me out here on May, whatever this is, May 17th, 18th. This is the setup that I've got. I'm showing you all of the predator proofing. I'm not being negligent. There's no big gaping holes in my fence. I am not responsible for, you know, my birds having been attacked or eaten or, you know, mutilated or whatever it is. And as horrible as it sounds, you know, you need to know your rights in case a dog comes on your property. You know, do you have a right to shoot them? You know, I know that's a horrible thing to say, but there's a lot of repeat offenders on the Facebook group. Just, you know, just something to think about. You know, what are your rights if a dog keeps coming into your yard? If you want to protect your property and your birds, You know, can you shoot them? Can you sue? Can you make your neighbor pay you? And in most cases, the answer is yes. But I'm trying to give you the information before that happens, and God, I hope that never happens to you. A little bit of good news, though. You learning about this now and just knowing the local laws. Again, call animal control if you've got that kind of thing. You know, look for your local Facebook group, a backyard chicken group on Facebook, or just one that's got its own website, and kind of just ask around and read stories. That's what made me want to do this video. It's just like, you know what, this has never happened, but if I can prevent it from ever happening and give some people some tools and things to think about, that would be great. As far as other predators, squirrels can be predators. If they're starving, they can eat eggs, they can eat chicks. Sometimes, you know, like young snakes, they will just be egg thieves. They will not really try to go after your chickens. It's kind of more of a, you know, how much risk is this worth? In my experience, we have feral cats around here, and they come and they like sunbathe 10 feet away from my chickens, and my chickens don't care, and my cats don't do anything. So the neighborhood cats, they're like, all right, whatever. So you kind of just have to, you know, again, Google the kind of stuff that's in your area, but also just come out and sit with your birds. Do you notice tracks with anything? What sounds do you hear? I would especially tell you to come out after you've locked your birds up, you know, at dusk or at dark after they've gone up to bed. That's when you should hang out, because I would think, you know, maybe if you're gone during the day, you might have some predators during the day, but usually it's going to be as it, you know, after dinner, as it starts to get dark, is when, you know, any threat to your bird is probably going to start coming to hang out. So I'm not an advocate of doing, like, you know, I don't know, something crazy like bear traps or anything like that. I wouldn't do that kind of thing. I don't know about any kind of sprays or stuff like that. I think it's really just trying to stay one step ahead of what the predators would want. You know, I hear coyotes at night, but I know they're not able to get into my yard, that kind of thing. So in recap, for natural predators and community predators, as I glare suspiciously at my neighbors, you know, the step one is do research and just get information beforehand. That means knowing your community, knowing the kind of animals that are around in your area, what would be a threat, what's not. That means, you know, watching the skies and just kind of listening for stuff that's out in the area. Number two is any actions you can do to prevent a loss from happening in the first place. I know I sound like an insurance agent, but that's kind of what this is, right? It's chicken insurance. Not that I mean, look at this. Like, seriously? These birds. The water leaks off of that waterer. She's laying in the puddle, like in the mud puddle, and splaying her legs out inappropriately. Callie. Ladies and gentlemen, my alpha hen. You guys are a mess. They do have ice water over here. Where is it? Sorry, I'm zoomed in. They have ice water right there. They have ice in that waterer that's right there. They got treats earlier. They are good. Don't let them fool you. So step two, again, is to proactively do any actions, any preventing that you can as insurance, so hopefully you won't have any incidents at all. And then step three is, of course, if something does happen, particularly if it's done by a human or by, you know, directly or indirectly by way of a human, that you know your rights and you know what you can do about it. Not only to prevent it from happening again, but getting the neighbor a ticket, having them pay you for your loss, you know, making sure that you've got a video of everything that you've done, all that kinds of stuff. So lots of things to think about. Again, I'm sorry that it's a rather dark topic. I promise I don't have other dark topics in mind that I want to talk about, but I figure some of you have been following me for long enough. You've got your chicks, you know, they're coming in the brooder, or you're going to go pick out your chickens soon. It is definitely something to think about if you have not already. Now I feel like I've talked way too much about depressing things. So let's go in and look at some birds. I'm pretty much done saying the content that I was going to say, except for, you know, maybe a couple of other random tidbits. So if you want to shut me off now, feel free. I'm going to watch Lollipop because this is hilarious. Look at her. Where do you think you're going, girl? Come here, girls. Tick, tick, tick. Come here. Look at her. Lollybird, where are you going, girl? What are you doing? Jeez. They have like 4 dust baths, but of course. What are you doing? Tick, tick. Don't you peck my phone, brat. Tick, tick, tick. This is chicken wire. which is the hexagonal shape. It's about an inch, inch and a half across. Chicken wire is not sufficient for walls of your coop because a lot of predators can stick their paws in. So if a bird is roosting close to the window, they'll grab it. A lot more snakes can fit through that as well. This is chicken wire. It's good right here for just digging, but I wouldn't use it as a wall or a window. For walls or windows, and this is double layered, so let me get through here. This is called hardware cloth. As you can see, I can barely get my finger through. This is, I want to say quarter inch or half inch. This coop, to praise it again, this coop has hardware cloth throughout. Hardware cloth is much better than chicken wire. Chicken wire, hardware cloth. So any windows, sliding, you know, basically any vertical surfaces, I would recommend hardware cloth. You do need to have ventilation for your chickens. You can't box them up like in, you know, a metal can or anything. So you've got to find that balance of where can they have ventilation, but they're not like literally, you know, sitting ducks, if you will. Lolly bird. Chick, chick, chick. Are you gonna lay your egg in there? Oh my God. If you do, oh jeez. It's like, let's put it right where mom can't find it. She's gonna make a nest in there, I bet. She's got that look on her face. Now it's afternoon, and chickens normally lay fairly early in the morning after they've been let out for an hour or two. I bet that's what she's gonna do, guys. Oh my gosh. You insufferable brat. I'm sorry, I know like I sound like I verbally abuse my birds. It's because I don't want you to hear me sweet talking them, which is what I normally do. Jeez. So it's afternoon, and I only have 1 or 2 eggs in the nesting box. This week has been the first week where the girls have started panting and started to be uncomfortable by the heat, so their bodies will adjust. And their bodies kind of say, hey, we're going to go into bare minimum mode here for a little while, almost kind of like the opposite of hibernation. Just like barely functioning mode, and with that, egg laying is not #1 priority, so we're gonna wait on that. So with that being said, as long as I keep my birds cool, they have plenty of water. I bring them 2 ice bottles every day. If you've seen my video that I posted not too long ago about keeping chickens cool, I have now 1 ice bottle in their actual water that they can access whenever, and then in the afternoons I bring them another one just in a tray because they're snobs and they like to drink that water. They don't like to drink out of their water. So I bring them a second option sometimes, but not until the afternoon. Hey, what are you doing in there, Chick-chick? Chick-chick. Yes, you. Nope. Okay. That feel good, Lolly Bird? Chick-chick-chick. And they're gonna go drink some more cool water. Uh-oh. But I'm Sarah, the Real Simple Mama, just with some things to think about. I hope that this has given you some ideas, some options. I apologize that it was like a ton of content really quickly. I have so many options depending on what, you know, what your setup is like, or if you've got chicks or pullets, or if they're full grown, or if you have a rooster or not, or, you know, whatever the situation may be. Yes, ma'am. Suggestions, comments, questions, other strategies that you've got going on that work. I love that everybody is helping each other in the comments. That's great. And I appreciate all of you guys. Feel free to email me if you've got pictures of stuff. Look for your local chicken groups. They are immensely helpful. And good luck to all of you guys. We'll be back with some more content soon. I'm Sarah, the Real Simple Mama.